I really wanted a large canvas art print here, but I just didn't want to spend the money. Art can be very expensive. So I started with this framed canvas from TJ Maxx, and I just spackled on top of it. And then I found this pretty, almost terracotta color that I painted over it. And I literally cut up an old bed sheet. And I just sort of bunched it up and glued it down in different places.
We first moved in, every single element was totally white.
Yeah, the white tile, the white floor, the white cabinets, so we had to figure out how to add in color. And then the color sort of spread around the space with a lot of the artwork that we chose to hang on the wall as well.
Yeah, all the artwork in the kitchen is actually food themed as well. So whether it's photos from dinners with friends or illustrations of oranges or olives, we've really tried to kind of keep to a theme a little bit in a fun way.
What I like most about my kitchen is that it's small. The most enjoyable aspect of curating my space was seeing how my old mementos fit in the space, like the quilt. When I saw the big blank wall in the kitchen, I said, I found a space. And so now that serves as my, backdrop for my cafe, where I have my morning coffee and bagels when I do decide to cook at home.
I found this man, this 6 foot by 4 foot man, also on an antique website. It's just been a super interesting, I think, conversation starter. No one knows who he is, so if you're able to figure out, email me or something. Once I found him, I didn't quite conceptualize what 6 feet by 4 feet would look like in my apartment, so it was a little bit overwhelming at first when I was trying to decorate, but I think pretty quickly I realized this man is so imposing that I have to structure a lot of the apartment around this vibe. The gallery wall, the rest of the pieces, most of them I've sourced from Etsy or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. There's a few that are particularly special to me. This little girl in the blue shirt is my grandmother when she was about 10 years old, I think. I used to live with her. We're very, very close. A few were given to me by my mom for presents, and a few were actually painted by a friend who I met here in San Francisco.
The first day when I stepped into my apartment, I was like, I am now officially entering my Sex and the City era. I walked in here and I'm like, no, this is not an apartment, this is a gallery. This is an art gallery. Mission number 1, I need huge tableaux. I need huge paintings up there. Luckily, I'm like the king of the thrift scene in Paris. So I know all the flea markets, the good ones, the really expensive ones that you could avoid. These big paintings were from a thrift store way in the suburbs. It's called Emmaüs Neuilly Plaisance. Y'all get that? And funny enough, I painted that woman at the top of the... We don't have to zoom in, but she is up there. I'm proud of her. I took a painting class that I found on Groupon here.
So when you first walk in, we have the gallery wall. Essentially, we kind of both came with a lot of posters. We both realized we have a thing for framing objects and posters and images that have either just an aesthetic or personal significance to us. So we ended up just kind of using our collage intuition and putting them all together.
I have a really long hallway as my apartment is a railway style home, and I had no idea how to decorate it coming into the space. But over the years and over my time in New York City, I've accumulated a lot of postcards from different exhibits and restaurants and bars. So I wanted to showcase them in the really long hallway by putting up magnet boards and color coding them to accent the space.
So to look at the interior of the space, you would think it is a nightmare to pack up when we leave, but actually it is not, and that is because I have planned a lot and had everything.
A lot of experience
too. But I have a few floating shelves in here. A lot of what is on the kitchen shelves are secured with Gorilla Tape or museum putty, except for the things that you take on and off, like the cups and the bowls and things like that.
Yeah,
but I wanted to have a nice open shelving look, but it's kind of open shelving, but it's not in the fact that stuff is stuck to it.
But this wallpaper is the biggest renter-friendly hack. So I have a lot of wallpaper in my house, but this is actually peel and stick, so it's temporary. It just makes the space feel a little warmer and not as cold and as new.
So when it comes to styling an apartment with a lot of plants and you don't want it to feel cluttered, you have to be very methodical in terms of how you design your space. So I knew I wanted to build up because I knew I was going to lose a lot of horizontal space quickly. And so that's why I have the 2 wally grows on the wall on either side. And then also in the corner under the grow light, I have little shelves of varying heights for my bar cart. kind of acts as a space for alcohol, but also a space for plants. And I just happened to find a little shelf that fit perfectly underneath it that I could also place more plants and then fit a grow light under that bar cart.
Color makes me feel like I'm vibrating. Like it is so exciting. The wide open living room, I think, is my favorite part of the home. I really wanted it to feel kind of like a funky, groovy 70s pool party. So I was really inspired by water ripples. So then I featured my painting Reflected and kind of went from those water shapes and was inspired by that to create the wall mural that has all these swirly shapes. I wanted plants, but I wanted the planters to camouflage, so then I actually painted the planters to like camouflage with that wall mural.
So in the other room, it was very much like original artwork and like, you know, very big, bold paintings. And we kind of looked at everything we had left and we were like, okay, this feels like a gallery wall. We also nicknamed it our Room of Achievement because it kind of shows off some of the works that we've done. So like these posters here are all from shows that I've done. And then here, like we have Phil's bottler poster, that's his band.
The show poster's a record of mine.
Yeah, that's his record that came out recently, so we have that framed. We have, this is cool, this is a costume rendering from a show I did, a national tour.
I love saying what's on my mind. I think that having different colors in my space just allows me to, you know, let my freak flag fly. I feel like color is happiness. When I'm in a space that's very black and white, I don't feel as inspired and I don't get my creative juices flowing. So behind the living room and a little bit past the kitchen, we have like this big empty space that's kind of like, oh, what the heck is the purpose of this space? And it's kind of like another place to, you know, have more creative pieces in.
So the biggest thing that you guys will see in the bedroom, the biggest impact is this wallpaper. So this is traditional wallpaper, but it is actually wall to ceiling. And I went with a big, bold graphic wallpaper in black and white to really make a statement. I also use my home as kind of like a springboard for design clients. So for instance, in the bedroom, I did the wallpaper on the ceiling and on the wall. That's something that I just wanted to try to see how effective it will be and how impactful it will be. And so my clients see it, they know it'll work.
My proudest DIY is probably painting my ceiling pink. I thought about painting my ceiling pink for probably 3 months, and then one day I kind of just like went for it. And all I had on hand was this 2-inch brush. I had some very sore shoulders for a couple of days, but I love the final effect so much.
The first thing that you'll probably notice when you walk into this apartment is the mural, which is exactly what everybody who knows me expects to look for anyway. It's a big, bright, slap in the face of color, which is what I wanted. It's a very me mural. I love pink and orange. I have little pops of red, which is something I've always had in my spaces anyway, in little pieces of decor like my rug or pillows. I always have little pops of red. I wanted the feeling in the living room to be excitement. I want to wake up in the morning and feel energized and ready to work. This was a really fun piece to create, number one, because it's unlike anything I've ever done before. I think that's the great thing about this career for me is that every adventure right now is still new because I've only been doing this for a couple of years. I think a lot of the big murals in my last apartment, like my hallway mural, were very linear and extremely time consuming and extremely tedious, and while it was so worth it to do those pieces, I wanted this one to be more enjoyable for me. I really liked that feeling of the more organic shapes, something that felt softer. There were tons of people over the course of my career on TikTok and social media that hated my space. This is hideous, this looks like a clown house, this is too, you know, I get it, it's not for everyone. Sometimes like these type of shapes and colors are way too much for some people, but it was right for me, because it gave me the feeling that I was home.
I'm most proud of a couple DIY projects in my house. One of them is the mural in this room. It starts on this wall and then the color scheme extends to another wall. I love stacking art on top of murals. It really has just kind of elevated this room.
The older I get, the more I realize that I am a studio kind of guy. I don't want doors. And so that's actually really nice because my main bedroom is really just a mezzanine bedroom. It's like a lofted bed. So my bed is above the kitchen. So you can imagine how hot it gets up there. As you'll see in the corner of my bedroom, I have these old school maps. That was the original idea for my apartment. I was gonna decorate the walls in these old atlases that were all in French. And I thought that was interesting because you can see how different the world was back then and how it's changing now, and everything's in French. And I mean, the posters had the USSR on it, and now the USSR does not exist. So just little things like that I think are interesting.
One thing we discovered was wall storage is where it's at. Anything you could attach to a wall. When you have as small a space relatively as we do with minimal closets, we did everything we could to get whole sections of things on walls.
This apartment has no overhead lighting aside from in the kitchen and the bathroom. So I do have my floor lamp, but I also wanted to add those sconces. These wall sconces are actually not hardwired. I just screw them into the wall, and because of that I had to find battery-powered light bulbs. So they are currently dead and they don't actually turn on, but when I charge them they do produce light, so that's really nice for when I want to sit down and read a book.
This is our bedroom. We really wanted our room to feel like a bit of an escape, serene and not too cluttered, a place that we could rest easy and relax. So we knew that we didn't want to overwhelm the decor in our room and take away from that, especially right now with the park being so green. It brings a lot visually, even just through the window, and that takes up a lot of visual space, and so we wanted to keep everything else pretty clean. Our Serena and Lily sconces that we have, they're pretty much the only decor we have on that whole back wall behind our bed, in hopes to give it something special visually, but not take up too much space.
And the front space is kind of our little bar area, well, bar table, where it's my workspace and also where we eat. And I oriented the chairs and everything to look out the front windows, because a lot of the time people design the space in the front there and you put a banquette or whatever and you're looking down the length of the trailer. I thought, now I'm gonna look outside at our pretty
That's why
views.
You're on the road, is what is out here.
So chairs are facing out the window.
Yep.